Welcome to Raheel Stories Hub, where every story touches your heart and leaves you silent for a while. If you love emotional and real-life stories, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because today's story will stay in your mind long after it ends. The judge entered. Everyone stood. The sound of chairs moving filled the room. Michael sat down, staring at the wooden floor. His lawyer whispered something, but Michael wasn't listening. His thoughts were far away, in a small house on the edge of Richmond, Virginia, where this all began. Months ago, Michael was an ordinary man. He worked as an electrical engineer, came home by 6, and loved spending evenings with his wife, Laura. They had been married for 5 years. 5 years of shared laughter, weekend road trips, morning coffee, and soft music in the kitchen. Michael believed their love was unbreakable, but even the strongest glass shatters silently. It started with a text message. A simple one. Laura's phone had lit up one evening while she was cooking. Michael, half distracted, glanced at it. A message glowed on the screen. "I miss your smile today." The sender's name? Evan. Michael froze. For a few seconds, he didn't move. The smell of dinner faded. The room felt smaller, tighter, suffocating. When Laura walked back into the room, he looked at her, not with love, but with a sudden, sharp doubt. She smiled softly. "What happened?" she asked. He said nothing. That night, Michael couldn't sleep. He kept hearing that sentence over and over again in his head. "I miss your smile." Who was Evan? Why would he say that? His thoughts twisted into ugly shapes. Maybe Laura was meeting him after work. Maybe she had been lying for months. Every small detail of their life replayed in his mind. Every late meeting. Every time she smiled at her phone, every unexplained call. Jealousy doesn't need proof. It just needs imagination. By morning, Michael wasn't the same man anymore. He began to follow her. After work, he would wait in his car near her office building, watching her walk out. Once he saw her laughing with a man, tall, brown hair, wearing a blue suit. The man touched her arm briefly while talking, and Michael's chest burned. That was enough. That one gesture was all his anger needed to become real. Days passed, and Michael's world grew darker. He stopped talking to friends. He stopped smiling. Every time Laura said, "I love you," he heard, "I'm lying to you." He began to record her calls, check her messages, question every minute she was away. Laura cried, begged him to stop. "Michael, you're destroying us," she said. But he was already destroyed. One stormy night, it all ended. Laura came home late from work. She looked tired. Michael was waiting in the living room, a bottle of whiskey half empty beside him. "Where were you?" he asked. "I told you the client meeting ran late." "With Evan?" She frowned. "Oh God, not this again." "Don't lie to me, Laura." His voice cracked like thunder. She shouted back. "You're sick, Michael. He's just a coworker." Michael stood up. His hands shook. "You think I don't know what's going on?" Laura stepped back, her face pale. "I've had enough. Tomorrow I'm leaving." Something inside him snapped. The sound of the rain outside faded. The world went silent except for the sound of his heartbeat. His hand reached the kitchen counter, grabbed the knife. Laura gasped. "Michael, don't—" But jealousy had already won. He saw red, and then silence. When the police arrived, Michael was sitting on the kitchen floor, Laura's head in his lap, whispering, "You said you loved me? Why did you leave me?" Her blood had covered his hands. He didn't resist arrest. He didn't speak a word. He just stared at the flashing police lights, as if they were the stars of some distant sky he would never see again. Now, months later, he sat in the courtroom, surrounded by people who wanted to see justice. The prosecutor stood and began, "Ladies and gentlemen, this man killed his wife out of jealousy. He didn't lose control. He planned it. He followed her, spied on her, and when he couldn't bear his own imagination, he took her life." The lawyer placed the photos on the table, Laura's picture, the kitchen floor, the blood-stained knife. The room went still. Even the air felt heavy. Michael's defense lawyer stood. "Your Honor, Michael Reed is not a monster. He is a man broken by emotion. He loved his wife more than his life. What he did was wrong, unforgivable, but it wasn't cold-blooded. It was the act of a heart poisoned by jealousy." The judge looked at Michael. "Mr. Reed, do you have anything to say?" Michael stood slowly. His voice trembled. I don't know what I am anymore. I loved her. I swear I did. But love became fire. I thought she was mine, only mine. When she smiled at someone else, I felt like I was disappearing. I didn't want to kill her. I just wanted to stop the pain. But now I realize I killed myself that night, too. A tear rolled down his cheek. The courtroom stayed silent. The judge's pen scratched the paper, slow, deliberate, final. Michael Reed, the judge said, his voice steady. This court finds you guilty of first-degree murder. You are sentenced to death by lethal injection. The words echoed. Reporters wrote. People whispered. Michael closed his eyes. For the first time in months, he felt calm. Maybe because it was finally over. Maybe because, in his twisted way, he was going to meet Laura again, somewhere beyond all this pain. The guards took him away. The heavy door shut behind him with a loud, metallic sound that felt like the closing of a life. Outside, the rain had stopped. The courthouse steps were wet, shining under the streetlights. A journalist spoke softly to the camera. He said he loved her. But sometimes love turns into the worst kind of prison. Inside his cell, Michael sat on the narrow bed. The clock ticked quietly. He looked at the wall. Someone before him had scratched a sentence there. Jealousy kills more than it loves. He smiled weakly, then closed his eyes. He thought of Laura, her laugh, her eyes, her warmth. He whispered, I'm sorry, and then silence took over again. The day of execution came. The room was small, white, cold. A priest stood beside him. Do you wish to say anything, son? Michael nodded slightly. I wish I'd trusted her more, and myself a little less. He looked through the glass, journalists, officials, and a few strangers on the other side. Tell them, he said quietly, that jealousy doesn't prove love. It destroys it. The injection began. Michael's eyes grew heavy. The world faded into white. Somewhere far away, he imagined Laura standing by the window, smiling softly the way she used to. Then everything went dark. Back in the courtroom, the file was closed. The judge signed the final document. The case was over. But in that silence, everyone felt the weight of what jealousy can do, how it can turn love into tragedy and passion into poison. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to Raheel Stories, Hub for more real and emotional stories. We'll meet again with another story that reminds us love is powerful, but so is control. And sometimes losing one means losing everything.